The upcoming Warhammer The Old World is the next iteration of Warhammer Fantasy. This new game will take place in the same beloved universe but during a different point in time than previous editions, most likely during the time of the Three Emperors and leading into the Great War against Chaos. Because of that, it's likely Games Workshop will introduce new characters, bring back favorites, or elevate some reference characters into playable special characters. Last time we talked about the Empire and had a look at Magnus the Pious along with 2 other characters. In today's video, we will be covering the Dwarfs of the Karazankor. This is my list of who I think are the most likely dwarf candidates to appear in Warhammer The Old World. So if there's someone you think that should make it that I didn't include, let me know in the comments. If you end up enjoying the video, please leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel for more Warhammer Fantasy content. It helps YouTube determine if others would also like this video, and it helps me to know what kind of content you would like me to produce. Because Dwarfs as a race live so long, many of the characters that featured in the previous Dwarf army books are alive and in their prime during the time period of the Old World. So first we will look at old favorites who are confirmed to be around in this period, though maybe in a different role than we are familiar with. Starting off is Thorgrim Grudgebearer. While we know him today as King of the Dwarfs, during the likely time period of the Old World, that role was held by Thorgrim's uncle, High King Ulricsson. Thorgrim would likely be a Thane to the High King, serving as such during the Great War against Chaos, where he won renown and re-established contact with the Norse dwarves. Because of his position at this time, he would not have access to the heirlooms of the High King, such as the Throne of Power or the Axe of Grimnir. So it's most likely he will get treatment similar to Manfred von Karstein, who had 2 sets of roles and could be taken as a hero version of himself, called Manfred the Acolyte, or his present-day incarnation as the Count of Sylvania. Thorgrim being available as a hero special character would be awesome in my opinion, where he can still play a crucial role but let others take the main spotlight. This new time period provides key character development for Thorgrim and lets us see how he will grow into the dwarf who later becomes High King. Next is the Slayer King, Ungrim Ironfist. Ungrim is confirmed to have been around and ruling as the King of Karak Kadrin at least at the time of High King Ulricsson's death. He was considered one of the frontrunners to succeed the High King. I don't expect Ungrim to change in any meaningful way from his appearance in earlier editions, but will likely be included by Games Workshop because of his popularity and unique association with the Slayer cult. Third is Crag the Grim. While Thorek Ironbrow may be the most prominent rune lord among the dwarfs in the modern era, Crag the Grim is the oldest living dwarf and by far the most powerful rune lord of the Karazankor. While Crag has not been playable since the 4th edition of Warhammer Fantasy, the return of the Old World provides a better opportunity than ever for him to return to the spotlight. No dwarf is more respected than him, and the Old World presents a golden period to see him in his prime before he retreats to his forges beneath Karazakorak. Crag is a formidable warrior, having slain a Minotaur single-handedly in his youth. He wears heavy Gromrel armor, wields a runic hammer which strikes with the heat of a burning forge, and carries an ancient rune staff granting him immunity to fire and the ability to dispel magic. Crag would fill the role of the primary Rune Lord special character, and would provide a focus on providing runic items to an army of elite warriors he leads from Karazakorak. Fourth is Burlock Daminson, the Engineer Guildmaster. While Burlock has no references to where he would fit into the timeline of the Old World, it is known that he is regarded as one of the greatest engineers of all time. In his youth, he was considered almost a mad scientist, with many new inventions and great discoveries to his name. It wasn't until he accidentally blew off one of his hands that his personality changed significantly into a more traditional and strict engineer. I think it would be very interesting to see Burlock as a dwarf engineer special character, who at the time was a maverick. Because of that, we could see contraptions similar to those invented by Malachi Mackayson, like the Goblin Hewer. If Burlock Daminson makes the cut, it could be a similar story of double rule sets like Thorgrim, where we see both sides, as Maverick and as the strict Guildmaster. Starting off with potential new characters, we will take a look at the most mysterious group of Dawi, the Norse Dwarves. The brief history of the Norse Dwarfs begins before the Great Catastrophe, when the Dwarves were migrating north along the World's Edge Mountains thousands of years ago. The most ambitious of the Dwarven expeditions went even further north to the mountains of Norska. However, with the advent of the Great Catastrophe, the Norscan dwarves were cut off from their southern brethren, and they remained isolated for thousands of years. I think the Norse dwarves would be a great addition to the Old World, and some of their holds can be seen on the Old World maps concerning Kislev. They would provide an interesting background that until now has been rarely explored. They are known to be fierce and gifted warriors, and are very alike to the Norskins when it comes to battle. For example, unlike other Dawi, the Norscan dwarves have been known to tame monstrous creatures such as mammoths for use in war. But as far as characters go, there are 2 possible candidates for the Norse dwarves, but keep in mind that very little is known concerning them. First is Great King Silverbeard, who ruled over all the dwarf holds in Norska during the later period of the 3 Emperors, and was reportedly killed during the Great War against Chaos. Second is Thorgard Kromson, who succeeded Silverbeard as Great King of the Norscan Dwarves. He accompanied Thorgrim Grudgebearer on a journey to Krazakarak, where the Norse dwarves were reacquainted once again with their kin. As far as potential niches these two dwarfs could fill, I could see the Norscan dwarves lean more heavily into offensive infantry and the use of monstrous creatures instead of defensive and artillery-focused dwarf armies. Beyond the dwarves of Norska, the most likely new special characters that come from existing material are the previously mentioned High King Ulricsson and Björgar Ironhammer, father of Belagar Ironhammer. High King Ulricsson would be fielded in the same manner as Thorgrim's most recent model upon the Throne of Power, wielding the heirlooms of the High Kings. I don't expect that if he were introduced that he would receive his own model, but would rather use the model and rules of Thorgrim as High King. Björgar Ironhammer is the lord of Clan Angren, the ancestral rulers of the lost hold of Carrick Eight Peaks. Björgar was considered along with Thorgrim Grudgebearer and Ungrim Ironfist to be a top contender to succeed Ulricsson as High King. He would most likely be fielded in the exact same manner as his son Belagar was presented in 8th edition fantasy, as they would both wield the ancestral weapons of their forebears, the Hammer of Angren and the Shield of Defiance. This is the end of my list for potential dwarf characters in the upcoming Warhammer the Old World. Thank you to everyone who watched this video. I'm Fohammer and have a great day.